Oh, honey, you won't believe what's going on in the glamorous halls of Vogue right now. The whispers, the phone calls, the raised eyebrows. It's all because of one woman, Meghan Markle. Yes, that Meghan. The Duchess turned Hollywood hopeful, the woman who once had the world hanging on her every word. But this time, the world's most powerful fashion magazine just slammed the door shut in her face. Politely, of course, but make no mistake, it was a rejection loud enough to shake the fashion industry. Let's spill this tea properly. So the story goes that Meghan, ever so ambitious and ever so confident in her star power, reached out to Vogue. Not for a little feature, not for a small column. No, darling. She wanted the cover, a major comeback moment, a full spread. Think glitz, glory, and glossy perfection. Meghan envisioned pages dripping with empowerment, luxury, and a little redemption arc. After all, what better way to silence critics than a Vogue cover screaming, "She's back"? But apparently, Vogue wasn't sipping from the same cup of royal ambition. The insiders, and you know how talkative they can be when the cameras are off, say the vibe was off from the start. Meghan's team didn't ask for the feature. They demanded it. The tone, according to one editor, was less collaboration, more command. One insider even described it like this: "It felt like she wanted to run the show. Creative control, photo approval, even final say on the headlines. That's not a pitch, that's a takeover." Now, we all know Vogue, especially under Anna Wintour's iron-styled leadership, doesn't just hand over control. Not even Beyoncé gets full editorial reign. And if Beyoncé can't, who can? So imagine Meghan walking in with her Hollywood sparkle and a list of demands longer than a royal wedding guest list. You could practically feel the tension through the emails. And when the decision came, it wasn't a public scene. No press statement, no scandal. Just silence. The kind of silence that means something in the fashion world. A polite no that everyone understands as absolutely not. Now let's rewind for a second. This isn't Meghan's first dance with Vogue. Once upon a time, the magazine adored her. Remember when Anna Wintour herself praised her for being a refreshing addition to the royal family? She was the fashion world's darling, a duchess with Hollywood charm and royal grace, a mix of modern and classic, poised and approachable. For a while, she was unstoppable. But fast forward a few years, after the royal exit, the Netflix series, the explosive interviews, the Spotify drama, that sparkle, it's gotten complicated. The very charm that made her magnetic now seems to divide people. Designers whisper that she's difficult. Editors roll their eyes when her name pops up. One fashion insider even confessed, "Every conversation about Meghan turns into a PR storm. It's exhausting, and that, my dear, is exactly what Vogue wanted to avoid." You see, Vogue doesn't chase trends. Vogue sets them. And the whisper among the glossy elites is that Meghan just isn't the mystery she once was. Once upon a time, her presence on a cover would have sent sales soaring. Now, it's a risk. According to someone very close to the editorial floor, the proposal from Meghan's team didn't just raise eyebrows, it rolled eyes. They say it read more like a manifesto of control than a partnership offer. She wanted veto power over photos, quotes, captions, even the layout aesthetic. Basically, she wanted the whole issue to be the Meghan Markle edition. But Vogue isn't in the business of surrendering its throne, not even for a duchess. And that's what makes this rejection so juicy. Because behind that quiet no lies a deeper message. Meghan Markle's name doesn't command the same reverence it once did. Let that sink in. This is the woman who, not long ago, had global attention at her fingertips. Every outfit she wore sold out in minutes. Every speech made headlines. She was the royal rebel, the symbol of modern independence. But today, that allure has thinned like last season's chiffon. Even her recent appearances tell a story. People aren't raving about her looks. They're dissecting her energy, the tension, the desperation to reclaim something that's slipping away. You can almost see it in her photos. The perfect smile, the flawless outfit, but eyes that whisper, "Please notice me again." And let's talk about the people around her. Some celebs are keeping their distance, quietly of course. Others won't mention her at all. It's not personal, it's just strategic. In Hollywood and fashion, no one wants to be caught in the middle of the Meghan conversation. It's polarizing. You're either Team Meghan or you're tired of hearing her name. And Vogue doesn't gamble with polarization. They trade in timelessness, not tabloid chaos. One PR veteran put it perfectly. Vogue isn't in the business of saving reputations. Ouch. It's a dagger wrapped in silk, but it cuts deep. For Meghan, this wasn't just a no. It was a loud, silent reminder that the fashion elite have moved on. The mystery is gone, the charm feels rehearsed, and the industry that once adored her now watches from a cautious distance. And the worst part? Vogue isn't even denying it. No official statement, no denial, just elegant silence. And in the language of fashion, silence is confirmation. They're calling it Vogue's quiet revolt. It's not messy, it's not cruel, it's just decisive. The unspoken rule that says, "We don't need you anymore." For Meghan, this moment stings more than any bad headline. Because Vogue isn't just a magazine. It's the magazine, the global seal of relevance, luxury, and credibility. Losing Vogue isn't like missing a photo shoot. It's like losing your passport to high society. Remember when Meghan dreamed of being the modern Diana? Poised, adored, influential beyond borders? That dream feels like it's fading, frame by frame. The harsh truth is, she's trying to rebuild her empire, but the bricks aren't sticking. The royal aura she once carried, that untouchable sheen of grace and privilege, doesn't follow her in Hollywood. Because here, it's not about titles, it's about traction, and Meghan's traction is slipping. Behind the smiles and curated interviews, insiders say she's frustrated, furious even. Every project that falls apart feels like another betrayal. The industry that once cheered her on is now silent, and that silence feels personal. She thought walking away from the royals would set her free, that the world would see her as the brave woman who took on the establishment. But instead, the sympathy turned to fatigue. The fascination turned to doubt. And now, when her name is mentioned, it's not how inspiring, it's what now? Here's the heartbreaking truth. You can walk away from the palace, but you can't take the kingdom with you. Meghan's realizing that now, painfully, publicly. The power she once held wasn't just in her charm or her speeches, it was in her proximity to the crown. That gold-plated connection gave her aura, access, and authority. Without it, she's just another celebrity trying to stay relevant in an industry that moves faster than a royal scandal. In elite circles, producers, investors, designers, rebellion isn't romantic, it's reckless. They respect the system, not the one who fights it. And Meghan, for all her grace and determination, underestimated that. Her Netflix deal, overhyped, underwhelming, her Spotify venture, collapsed in a flurry of executive eye rolls. Even Hollywood, the land of reinvention, seems hesitant. Behind closed doors, they say her name carries too much baggage. The same woman who once represented freedom now feels trapped in her own narrative. Every step she takes, every statement she makes, it all loops back to the same storyline. Meghan versus the royals. And she's losing that fight because, darling, you can't outshine an institution built on centuries of mystique. The monarchy doesn't need to fight back. Its silence is power. Its legacy does the talking. And the cruel irony, the harder she tries to build her own kingdom, the more isolated she becomes. She wanted freedom, but freedom came with a cost. Influence. People close to Meghan say she still believes she can turn it around, that she's one headline away from redemption, one perfectly crafted project from a new beginning. But this Vogue rejection, it hit different. It wasn't just a professional no, it was a symbolic one. It said, we don't buy the brand anymore. It's not that she lacks talent or passion. Meghan's a powerhouse, articulate, ambitious, unbreakable. But somewhere along the way, the authenticity faded. The magic started to feel manufactured, and the world noticed. Her speeches sound the same. Her interviews echo familiar themes. Me against the world, breaking barriers, finding my truth. But people aren't feeling inspired anymore. They're feeling exhausted, because you can only play the underdog for so long before people stop rooting for you. The public's empathy has limits, and Meghan's story has crossed from powerful to predictable. It's not just about losing Vogue, it's about losing mystique. And in a world where image is everything, that's fatal. The truth is simple and brutal. Fame without favor fades, and favor still flows through old thrones, old power, old systems. So here we are, watching a woman who once had it all. Love, fame, influence, standing at a crossroads. She's still fighting, still shining, still smiling for the cameras, but behind that glow, there's a storm. The lesson is hard and human. You can rebel against tradition, but if you lose grace along the way, the doors close quietly behind you. Meghan wanted to build her own empire, but empires aren't built on exposure. They're built on favor, and favor can't be demanded, it's given. Vogue's rejection wasn't cruelty, it was a mirror, a reflection of how far she's drifted from the charm that once made her irresistible. Maybe this is her wake-up call, the moment she realizes that reinvention isn't about controlling the narrative, it's about surrendering to authenticity, because no matter how powerful you are, no one gets a second chance at relevance without humility. And that's what Vogue just told her, in the classiest, quietest way possible. Not today, Meghan. Not yet. If you thought the story ended with Vogue's polite no, oh honey, you're just getting to the good part, because after the doors closed at Vogue, the whispers started echoing through the fashion corridors, the kind of whispers that make publicists sweat and PR teams pull all-nighters. Did you hear what happened with Meghan's Vogue pitch? One insider murmured over cocktails at the Ivy. She really thought she could dictate the entire shoot. Another gasped, almost gleeful. It spread like wildfire. One stylist even claimed she wanted a narrative about rebirth, her overcoming the royal coldness and reclaiming her voice. But Vogue doesn't do pity parties. They do power. And that right there is the dagger. Power. Meghan wanted to own it. Vogue wanted to preserve it. The two worlds collided, and only one could come out looking polished. Soon, Hollywood insiders caught wind. Producers, PR mavens, influencers, everyone started dissecting the snub. If Vogue's out, what does that say about her brand? Someone asked at a Beverly Hills lunch. It says the tide's turning, another replied, shaking her head. And that's when it hit people. Meghan's image, once untouchable, had become unpredictable. Behind the glossy photos and motivational speeches, the cracks were showing. Every move she made felt strategic. Every smile looked curated. The public could sense the shift. The raw authenticity of her early royal days was now buried beneath layers of PR polish. The same woman who once seemed like a symbol of hope, modern, strong, unstoppable, now seemed like someone desperately fighting to hold on to that image. It's not just about a magazine cover, it's about symbolism, about what it means to lose Vogue's approval in a world where perception is currency. Meghan thought she could walk away from the palace and keep the crown's glow, but what she didn't realize is that the glow doesn't belong to the person, it belongs to the institution. You can step away from the throne, but you can't take the throne room lighting with you. Every door that once opened for her did so because she was more than Meghan the actress. She was Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, the woman who married into modern history, the American fairy tale. So what happens next for Meghan Markle? Insiders hint she's quietly refocusing, maybe returning to her roots in storytelling, maybe producing projects that matter rather than chase headlines. There's even talk that she's considering writing more. Not the polished kind, but the real, raw kind. Something tells me, if she does that, the world might just listen again. And if Meghan's learned anything from the last few years, it's that the spotlight can vanish. But it can also return. Maybe not with Vogue's blessing, but with the world's forgiveness. As of now, Vogue remains silent. No confirmations, no denials. Just that poised, calculated quiet that says, "We've spoken without speaking." Maybe this fall from Vogue's grace isn't her end, maybe it's her beginning. Because sometimes, losing the cover is what finally reveals the real story underneath.